Okay, hi once again. This is somewhat unexpected because wasn't planning to actually do another live so soon. But yeah, here we are, and yeah, just thanks for everyone who joined this live. As I'll just be showing you how you can actually use AI to prepare for your job interviews and just be also trying to stand out from all of your candidates or the other candidates and just doing some of these like hyper personalized things to impress your uh, like your potential employer. So yeah, let's just quickly get started on the very brief slides before I actually start to do up the entire the like start building out everything. Okay, so yes, so this is the agenda for day. For today, we'll just be talking a bit more about how do you use AI to prep. Like why do you even use it? And then after that, how do you use it? You can do it for both the research as well as building out some of the deliverables. And of course, feel free to just follow along and see how you can build out ones for yourself. So again, why should you even be listening to me as this random guy on the internet? I'm someone who has lost my job, likely due to being replaced by AI and all of the different and concurrent items. So basically, what happens is that I'm just actually okay. Sorry, got distracted a bit, but yes. So I lost my job basically because likely due to me being replaced by AI, and things were actually getting downsized, and this all happened while I was on hospitalization leave. And throughout all the time that I had away from work, I set myself a goal to just learn how to use AI as a non-coder, someone with zero technical experience. So what I actually did was to build out this portable OS after failing many times with AI. So this entire system makes me feel more confident in becoming more AI native. I'm not someone who has reached there yet, but that's my eventual goal. And right now, my mission is just to help you to automate all of the work that you hate using this system that you own, which is the portable OS, and how you can do that with just all of the different uh, tools that are available to you. Yes, okay. So sorry, just give me a moment to get my mouse. So AI can actually give you an unfair advantage in your job search. Of course, I mean, for myself, I've not been hired yet, but this is actually the way that I am planning to build out my like my interview coach and all of my different uh, ways that I can actually prepare myself. So these are the three main ways to research. So how can I learn more about the company that I'm applying for? Drill would be to practice interview questions, the common ones, and come up with stories to tell that are specific to that role and to my own experiences. And lastly, it is to impress, which is to then show initiative by building out this one pager. So this is something that I learned from one of the guys that I chatted with, who is also very interested in like building AI native products and workflows. So shout out to Barry if you're here listening to this, and thank you for giving me this inspiration to build out this one pager where I can actually just build out and also just show my slides are not showing again, which is annoying, but what actually happens is that I'm able to be more impressive by giving this website to the um my future employer, and then after that you will just show like these are the ways that my entire plan uh for my job, and then how can I execute it on it. So today the main thing will be two of these deliverables that we'll be producing. The first is like the interview prep kit. Again, we want to have like a HTML report first on the company, and then after that to analyze, to view all of the different strategies and everything else inside. So yeah, I just want to make sure that all of this is hyper personalized to my the job that I'm applying for. And then after that, to build up this one pager website, basically to send it to the hiring manager, and then it has like all of these different branding strategy and the 90-day roadmap, like what are my plans when I actually do get the role, and all of this is being deployed on Vercel. So okay, so just a brief overview on the role that I'm applying for, which is this social media growth specialist. So this is more on the marketing role, and then there's just like all of these key responsibilities. I'll just be going through and copying the job description as well, so that it makes it much more easier for you to follow through. And these will be the 5 steps that we'll be achieving to deploy from like the actual JD, the job description, into things that are deployable and building out all the deliverables. So firstly, we'll be researching on the company. So I'll use like Difado to scrape through all of the company website, to use LinkedIn and Twitter, Reddit, just to find social posts, basically to understand its current content strategy, and to also find out like what are the other like the band of voice, the tone, and all of those different items. And the main two ones that I'll be using is the GitHub repositories, Difado by Capano, as well as Agent Reach by one of these devs. And then I'm also going to use some of the interview prep tools. Again, I'm actually going to focus more on the interview code skill, which I find it to be much more useful. And the last part is to actually like just clone the branding first. Basically, I'm going to go over to the company's website and then build sort of like a landing page clone. Basically, just to extract out like all of the key branding details, like the fonts, the types, and the brand colors that they're using, so that when I'm generating out this one pager, it looks almost exactly like something that someone inside their company would generate. And that just makes it look even more impressive, because it feels like you are already part of the team. And then of course it will be to build the one pager. So there's like all of these different items that I do want to have inside, which is like to currently audit the content that is being posted on Twitter and LinkedIn, to come up with ideal customer profile. So this is actually using one of the prompts from Denko, that I will just take an idea from it and use it with the job description. And then to have like the content strategy, and how am I going to identify for trends, because that was one of the key responsibilities that were being asked by the inside of the job description. And lastly, to have a 90-day roadmap on how I can execute all of these different tasks that I aim to have inside of the actual one pager itself. And then of course lastly, we will need to actually deploy it to a live site, and the way that I'm using it is through the Vercel CLI. So maybe now I can just quickly show you. This is one that I actually did for another job, and I just added this to my GitHub. Again, if you have not learned anything, or excuse me, if you have not you're not familiar with GitHub, please feel free to go to my previous live that I did yesterday on how you can actually use GitHub even as a non-coder. And this is the product, and again my screen is lagging. I'm sorry, I'm not too sure why this always happens, but yes, it sort of like freezes. I'm so sorry, but anyway, just a quick um, portion, because this is like the GitHub repo that I'll be using to apply for the job. And then this also just shows like, okay, you have the you're already familiar with GitHub, and then it makes you look and feel even more AI native. And then this was like the example of the one pager that I generated. So it's actually not really a one pager, it was 3 pages, and it had like all of these different plans. So basically it just looks through, it generated like this ideal customer profile, and then there were like 3 pillars that were being listed inside of the um, job description. So I just sort of set like what are the goals and everything's inside of here. And lastly was like the 90-day action plan within all the weeks, and then within all of the 3 different verticals, what are my plans for this entire portion. And of course like some of these experiments and so on and so forth. So basically this is also just done on brand, using like all of the different branding guidelines that were being shared by all of I extracted it out from the website of the company. So again, I'm just going to show you how I'm going to do this for this role, which I just applied for, and I'm going to get the interview. So yeah, let's just start with the entire demo itself. Okay, so this completely messed up, so let me just skip that slide. But first, yeah, you can follow along with me on how to build out this entire skill. So this is like the mini worksheet on how you can actually, the steps that I'll be doing. And yeah, feel free to either go to the website, it's already in the link in the description, or you can scan this QR code to find the access the website. Okay, so yes, let's get started with building out the entire portion. So the very first part that we need to do, if you have watched my 2 previous lives ago, what we need to do first is to generate a contacts folder. So in this case, what I've actually done is to generate this interview prep folder, and then inside of it I've already come up with some files. So it's sort of like playing cheat a bit. It's not really starting from scratch, but it just already shows like some of these pre-existing things that I can do so that I can save more time. So the first one is actually my own resume. So this is, I generated it through the ATS style, and this is how we actually came up with all of the different like responsibilities, job description, so on and so forth. And then this one is the design MD. Basically this is more for myself when I want to build out a design system for my interview coach prep, then you will actually use this one. But actually now come to think of it, I'll plan to use the Bit Branding, the company that I'm going to apply for. And these prompts, all of them are actually from Denko, and he previously had this video where he showed like this entire canvas from Eden, his software, and then how do you inject all of these different prompts inside of it to help you to build out your own personal brand strategy. So what I actually did was to download all of them, and they are all converted into these markdown files. The ones that I'll be more focused on is this customer avatar generator, which I want to use this prompt to generate the ideal customer profile for Bit. Okay, so yeah, these are like the some of the context files that I have, and the next part that I want to do is to gather the context. So I want to first search for uh, Bit. I believe it's bit.com, and yeah, so it's this one. And basically I want to gather as much context as I can about this company, which I know a bit of, but we won't be so much. So let me just put it as applications, and I'll create a new folder here, and then did it freeze again? Ah, this is so annoying. I need to find a way on how to troubleshoot this part, because I'm completely not sure how this happens, but yes. Okay, so now what I need to do is to put in applications, and then I'll just put in a bit here, and now I would then go over to OpenCode. Let me just put it inside here. So we are actually like sort of playing cheat. Now what I'm going to do is to open a new project, and that will exactly be where my interview prep folder will be. So basically this will be like a workspace for me on how I can actually uh, prepare for all of these interviews. So this is done, and just something to note as well, I'm actually going to use the what do you call it, the DeepSeek Flash for under the OpenCode Zen, basically because I hit my limit for the OpenCode Go plans just recently, and it's only going to come back within the next 1 day or so. So I'm using a slightly less powerful model, but I do think that it's actually good enough for it. Okay, so we have come through all of this. Now let's actually go into the preparation itself. So first I'm going to use the Diffado. I'm going to put the link inside here. I'm going to put the agent reach as well. So slight disclaimer, I've actually installed it already. And then I want to install the LinkedIn MCP as well. Okay, so maybe all of this is a bit too advanced first. Let me just do something very quickly, where right now I'm just going to copy this entire portion, and I'm just going to paste it inside here, and then I'm going to use my voice transcription tool, which I use latterly, and I'm going to just say all of this stuff. So help me to build out this help me to save this job description for the Bit Matrix Port social media specialist role, and this basically I want to save it within this target folder inside of this current repo. So I'm going okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this file path, which I use Option Command C, and then I'm going to put it inside my Bit here, and I'm going to add it inside. So now the most annoying thing is that I actually need to monitor this portion very closely, so that I know when the screen starts to freeze and it doesn't really show anything. But okay, yes, so I've actually saved everything inside here, and we can go in, we can see that okay, the markdown, it has all of the different yeah, basically the job description inside. Okay, so now let's go back to here. I'm going to paste back the links, and then now I'm just going to voice transcribe to help me to come up with like this entire scripted part. So now that you have an understanding of this role on like what I am going to do for, I basically want to find out everything because I'm applying for this role. I'm going to get an interview for it. Help me to then come up with, help me to find out as much information as you can about the company. So I've given you some of these tools. The very first one is Difado. Basically, it helps you to come up with and extract out all of the different uh, content within the different web pages so that you can better understand it. And the agent reach skill, the second one, this will then allow you to sign in via your different cookies and within like the Twitter CLI as well as the um, and the Reddit CLI. And then the last one is the GitHub MCP server. So I want you to install this MCP server for LinkedIn so that you'll be able to do up some of this stuff on my behalf. So using all of these, please help me to first install the directories, and then after that come up with just learn a bit more and give me a report on exactly what does this company do. Okay, so yep, I've actually come up with like the main brief, and I'm just going to give it, because it's using the not so powerful ones, the model, the results may not be that good. But again, some of this will require you to authenticate. So the Reddit CLI has been installed for me, and I may need to do the Twitter one, so there may be some authentication here and there. And yeah, basically these are like some of the things that I need to do. Okay, so we are going to install all of this, and at the same time I'm just going to start a new session. Basically what I'm going to do is go back to my worksheet, and what I'm going to do here is go to the interview coach skill. So this was something that I found inside of Lenny's podcast, and I found it to be pretty good. So again, I'm just going to paste it inside of this new session, and now I'm going to just give some links to the JD and my own resume. And now I'm just going to tell the, okay, I think it's frozen yet again. My goodness, why does this always happen? I have to constantly remind myself. If not, this is okay. I'm not too sure whether, okay, I'm going to try some new settings. Hopefully it works now. But yes, okay, so now what I'm going to do is to install this application. There's this application, the interview coach skill, and then what I'm going to do here is to build out the entire skill. Not the entire skill, but to give it context about it. So I'm going to use Letterly again. So inside this repo, I have a job description of this role that I'm applying for, and I've also included a link to my own resume. So can you please use this GitHub repository, which is the interview coach skill, to then help me to prepare for the interview that is coming on Monday. Okay, so that has been done, and I mean, it's not super accurate. It's repo instead of webpo. So yes, I'm just going to share it, and then I'm going to check on the Okay, so yes. So the very first part, what I wanted to see was just to make sure that I have all of the different reports and everything that's inside of here. So the report has already been generated. Let's just try and see how it actually looks like. Okay, I think it's not too bad, but let me just quickly ask it something. For Agent Reach skill, has the Twitter as well as the Reddit, have they both been authenticated? Can you please help me to check whether this works for them? And yeah, if I actually need to re-authenticate for both of these CLIs. Okay, so while this is done, I'm going to go back to my other one, and then now you can see that it already has my JD, my resume, it has everything here, and then it has like all the coaching files, and yes, so I'm going to tell it to clone the repo first into this workspace. So can you please help to clone this repo into this workspace first so that we can actually just start to use it and run it for the actual interview coaching. Okay, so yep, we're gonna do this now, and I'm gonna go back. Okay, so now I'm able to authenticate via Reddit, but not via Twitter. So you have to. I'm just gonna ask it. Please walk me through the setup, and let's see what happens here. So repo is cloned. So I'm just going to tell it. So inside of this, okay, so inside of the interview coach skill, I believe there are like some references and skills that you can then use to run the entire process. So can you please start from the very start on like how this skill should be run based on the README and help me to prepare for this interview. Okay, so now this is done. Now what they're doing is going through the Twitter CLI, so I may actually need to install. Okay, so it's actually using a keychain. Not too bad, though this is like quite annoying. Let me just type my password first, and then let me go back. Here is already done. Repos clone once, yes. So again, it's asking for all of my keys so that I can authenticate my Twitter CLI. But for here, okay, the screen has frozen yet again. Let me quickly go back. This is so annoying. But okay, let's go here. So you can see that. So it's quite cool that it actually used my um my keychain and is already authenticated via my current account that I signed in. So I'm just going to ignore LinkedIn for now, but I'm going to go over to the website and then I'm going to go to Twitter. So this is their Twitter, this is their YouTube, their LinkedIn. Okay, so actually I think I may need their LinkedIn as well, just to see like all of their socials and everything to yeah, just build out and just view like all of these different pages. So their YouTube doesn't have, okay, it has videos, but I think it's just mainly tutorials, so we can take a look at that later. And this is the community, and the main thing I want to look at is Twitter, so that it actually shows like, okay, did it hang yet again? Why does this always happen? It's pretty annoying, I'm not gonna lie. But yes, okay, so yep, this is their Twitter, and what I'm gonna do now is just to show and just to like look through all of the engagement, and yeah, basically just look through everything inside of it. So I'm just going to authenticate here as well, and let me just check. Okay, yes, so now again I'm just going to quickly talk to my interview part, and I'm just going to say, so yes, on Monday it will be on June 29, and I'm looking more on the quick uh, preparation, so that I want to prepare for this interview that's coming in a few days time. So again, you can see just how easy it is to actually share everything. And here, okay, so now it's just telling you that I need to authenticate inside, so that it's able to see like all of the different stuff. But now what I want to do is to, and then it's just telling you that you want to run it from your browser, and then you can just paste this inside your terminal. But I'm lazy, and I just want to show you that even if you're a non-coder, you can actually run all of these too. So I'm just going to say help me run it for me, and then I'm just going to paste it. And then because this system, the one that I'm using, is open code, it can actually like access all of your files and everything, the LLM itself, so it can actually run all these commands for you. And I find it so much easier as compared to like on ChatGPT, where basically what I used to do was to paste all the terminal commands from ChatGPT into the terminal, and then after that there'll be an error, then I'll copy it, paste it, and then I'll go back, and then it just gets so messy. Okay, so now it has like all of these different uh, portions, so that's good. And now what I'm going to do, let's see, I don't think there's a, okay, there's a content. Okay, we could probably try this as, so basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a content breakdown, and I'm going to ask it to look at the tweets as well as the LinkedIn posts, and then just to break down like what are the kind of different tones and what are the different voices that are being used, and at the same time also just to carry out with the engagement. So right now, let me just very quickly go over to my this portion, because I want to try to find if there's a voice. Okay, there's nothing. Context. So what I'm actually trying, yes, so I have this voice analysis prompt again from Denko. So I'm just using a lot of these ones, and I'm just going to use that instead of the content breakdown. So now I'm just going to tell it, so please use the social media posts from on Twitter as well as LinkedIn for this, for bit. I will share with you the actual URLs for both of them, so that you can just look at the ones for the past month, the posts that were being posted for the past month for both of them, and then help me to come up with a voice analysis of both of these different uh, platforms, and just to identify like what voice and tone that they are being used to generate them, and how can you actually build out from there. Okay, so we have already given out the voice analysis one, and then now let me just go back, and my screen has hanged yet again. Okay, this is getting extremely annoying, but I'm going to paste the Twitter profile as well as the LinkedIn profile, and then basically what this is going to do is that it will look through all of the different posts, and then now it has like the Twitter CLI and the LinkedIn one, so that basically you can extract out all of the different posts, and you will see what are the yeah look at all of the different ones, just to sort of like reverse engineer and come up with this branding document for both the Twitter and as well as LinkedIn. Okay, so yes, now while that is done, let's continue with the quick prep, and I'm going to say level 4 for this one. Basically it's just telling you like how direct and how critical the person is going to be, so I'm just going to put 4 for now. And then question 3, I'm just going to put none so far for this one. So okay, this one is just trying to fetch all of the different posts. Now let me go back here. Let me just respond to this first. So the single thing that is actually keeping me up is more on the US stocks domain. I mean, I'm slightly familiar with it, but with regards to like the markets and the whatever that's happening in that space is something that I'm not really that familiar with. Okay, so this one is done, and then now I'm just going to go here. You can see that after we have given these instructions, then now they're just looking through all of the different posts, and then trying to come up with the branding document for the social media. Okay, so it comes up, and then okay, it just says like, okay, there are all of these things, positioning strengths, blah blah blah, all of this here, and then yes, so please, I'm just gonna say please do this, and it will be a video interview for in terms of the format. Okay, so now this is done. They're still trying to extract out all of the stuff. So now we already have like okay, so you can see now it actually comes up with like the voice analysis. So now let's just quickly go back, and what I'm actually going to do is to open this in this software called Writer Computer, and maybe it's not here. Okay, never mind. So I'm just going to use Obsidian for this one. I have so many vaults, but let me just open it up. as yet another vault so that I'm able to see all of these things in a more readable format. Okay, so we have the research report. Let me just go back to my gaps. Okay, so this one is done. This one is done. Uh, this would be around with the hiring lead, which I believe was the head of marketing or head of content. Okay, so um, yeah, so it has come up with like all of these reports, and then we can see okay, there's like all of these, and yeah, we're just looking through. There are all of these executives, all of these ones, and basically, I think more. Is it? They hang again. Yeah, I think it hanged again. Oh well, why does this keep happening? But yes, okay. So now OpenCode itself is done. Let's just try and see this portion. So there are like it shows like all of these different products and services. It has all of this, so on and so forth. So all of this would be very good for uh, just reading and just trying to understand everything about the company before the actual one. And yeah, so I think the key important one will be this, the UX stock trading, since it was just recently launched, and then they just want to be more accustomed to this portion as well. So yeah, there's just a lot of all of this content to take note of, but I'll likely just read all of it in the future. But now at this point in time, I think it's just good enough to just understand for the first part. Okay, and then the next part that I'm actually more interested in is the voice analysis. So how I actually used this was through this voice analysis note that I got from Dan Cole. He had this like Cortex document, but I think now when you actually go and access it, there's okay, this one is fine, but some of them actually had some errors. But either way, uh, basically like just going through the content, it has given me like all of these different branding guidelines, which would then help me to generate more content strategies for it in the future. Okay, so now we already have like some of these context about the company itself. So this is like the JD, this is like the actual company research report, and this is the voice analysis that I did, where basically I just scraped through all of the recent uh, posts that they did on Twitter and LinkedIn for the past 1 month, and then they actually did like all of these different they gave like this very extensive report. Again, all of this we can then use in the future, but now I'm actually going to move on to the next step, which so yeah, we're going to build, and concurrently we're going to do that. But now what I want to do is to clone the company's branding to build out the one pager. So now moving back to here, I'm just going to ask it to look at here, and I'm going to give it another prompt with Letterly. So can you take a look at this website and then extract out the HTML code from it? While more importantly, I want to know the HTML, CSS, and the styling. So we have like the brand guides, we have the all of the different portions in terms of like the color scheme, the fonts that are being used, the typography, and all of the different uh, branding, the key branding portions that I want to then include in a future deliverable that I want to give to these employees. So please help me to uh, extract out the HTML from this site to gather all of these insights about the company's branding. Okay, so now we can actually do. Okay, so we actually have like all of these different. We can see that there's like all of these different how do I say questions, and the interview, the preparation brief. Basically, there's like all of these different things that I can actually prepare myself for it. So this has been generated, and then it's just a huge wall of text. I'm not going to read all of this at all, definitely. So what I'm going to do is to generate. So now they're actually try to extract out the CSS HTML files from it, and then once that's done, I'm going to use that and to build up my one pager, and to also make this much more readable inside another separate HTML file that makes it more easy for me to read, digest, and be more prepared for the actual one. So okay, I probably should have done the brand guide at the start. Okay, so it actually comes out with like all of these ones, so that is good. So we have extracted out these key guides inside, and what I'm going to do is go over to my interview prep context, and I'm just going to put it inside here. Please add whatever they've extracted as the branding guidelines inside of this file, and what I'm actually going to do is design.md Google, and I'm going to paste. So I've actually pasted this design.md file. Can you please, whatever that you have extracted out for the design system, can you please format it inside this design.md format? Okay, so what I actually did here was to search for Google's design.md. Basically, this is like a specification. If you have heard of like Claude.md, Skills.md, this is like another specification on like the entire design system and whatever that you can actually run from it. And basically, once you sort of like have the entire branding guidelines, you can then build out this design.md inside. Okay, yet again the screen has hanged. Let me quickly go through and reset it one more time. I definitely need to go and troubleshoot OBS and find out why this is actually happening. Okay, so yes, so basically this is a design specification, and then here is other ones. And now what I'm going to do is go back to my plan inside of the worksheet, and then now we have like this one pager. We have the design, the design system. So now we have like the current content audit, ideal customer profile. That's what we're going to do later. Content strategy and trend scanning. Okay, so now what I actually want to do first is go back here and just generate the avatar. So again, this is like the prompt that I'll use, and I'm going to paste it inside here. Please use this customer avatar generator prompt to generate 2 different ICPs based on whatever that you understand about the company. So I've included like all of the different contexts inside of here, and these are like all the files, all the reports that have been generated. I want you to take a look at it and try to use this prompt to then identify like what is the best application, what is the best way to like identify the 2 best ICPs based on the products that Matrixbox have that was already generated inside of the job description, as those are the main key focuses. Okay, so basically what this does is that I have a prompt, and okay, no, this is not the prompt, this is the prompt, and this customer avatar generator again is from Denko. It will then make and generate out this ideal customer profile for whatever context that we've already generated in the past few runs. So just as a quick recap on like the context that we've already done. First one was the company research report. This one is quite straightforward. It just looks through all of the different, I will probably show it here then so it's much easier. The company research report, there's like all of these different things that they have really looked through. And it just gives a lot of different sizings of the it just helps you to understand more about the company. This one is the voice analysis because I'm doing a social media role. So what I actually did was to gather the posts from the past 30 days for both Twitter as well as LinkedIn, just to generate like this voice analysis, again using one of Denko's prompts to generate this voice report. This itself is the job description and the responsibilities for it, and then lastly this one is the design.md. Basically what I did was to look at the Bits website. I extracted out the HTML and then to generate all the design systems. Then I used Google's DesignMD to generate this specification. So later on when I'm actually building out the one pager, then hanged again. When I'm building out the one pager, then this would actually be more it would be more on brand, and it looks like something that maybe one of the employees have generated. So let's quickly go back and we can see here it's actually taking quite long. So usually when this happens, I'll usually cancel and then I'll just tell it to like please continue, just to like regenerate it, just in case like there's some lack of connection. Okay, so now what is actually being done is, because it's compacting the session, there's just a lot of things that were being done inside of the past few tasks. So the context window is now being compacted, and then now what we are actually doing is, okay, let's chat, just give me a moment, let me see, is there anything? Nope. Okay, sorry. Yep, so now what we are actually doing is that we are generating out all of the relevant files inside, and it is generating this ideal customer profile, hopefully. I am not too sure whether it knows, because my experience is that when you actually after you complete the session, you won't know what is actually that you're doing next. And usually what I'll do is that I'll scroll up all the way to my initial prompt, and then after that copy it and then paste it there. So now it's like actually just thinking and writing. So let's just see what is going to come up from it. And now let me just quickly go back to the, nope, it's meant to be reading the entire one person business, and probably we are not going to use this one. I'm going to play cheat yet again, and I'm going to use one of Denko's other prompts. So again, I would highly recommend, like, the moral of the story here is to try and identify your what are some of the prompts, what are some of the like to build up your own prompt library, which will eventually become your skill library. And I mean, if you're trying to apply for a marketing role like me, then prompts will be something that are very useful in like trying to generate out all of these different collaterals, these videos, and like how to say, uh, yeah, basically like all the deliverables that are required for a marketing role. So now you can see that okay, he's trying to write out this customer profile, and then okay, it has finally done it. Let's just take a look and see how it actually looks like. Again, I mean, this is just the rough draft. I'll definitely have to refine it. But okay, I forgot I can just use Obsidian to find it. So there's the ideal customer profile. And then we can see, okay, there's this like, I mean, you come up with some cringe words, but yes, it's stablecoin SAM. And then it has like all of these opportunity for Bitcoin stocks, and then it just looks through everything. You can see that it's extremely detailed. Again, I mean, of course, first pass wise, it is not ideal for you to just rely everything on AI to generate everything for you. But I mean, for the sake of this, I'm just going to assume that everything here is good enough. And yeah, so we have this ideal customer profile that has been generated, and now going back here, what we need is the current content audit. We sort of have it already, but I do want to have it in a more, okay, let me just quickly go back and tell, where is this? Okay, this is the ideal customer profile. This is the interview coach, and this is the design one. Okay, so let me go back here. And so just now what you actually did was to generate the, you went through like all of the recent posts on both Twitter as well as LinkedIn. Can you please help to generate out the different flows in terms of like the do a report on like the current stats, what's the average, what is the outliers in terms of the content that did well, and both the content that did well and the content that did poorly from the baseline. Please help me to identify like both of these kinds of content. Okay, so why we're actually doing this is to come up with the current content audit. I think my screen freezed again. Yes, it did. Let me reset it yet again. And after that, I would then want to come up with a content strategy that is more tailored towards the ideal customer profile. And then the last part is just like trend scanning, basically just to see like what are some of the current trend reports So actually, no, I should do this. I should actually bring this up instead. So trend scanning should be on top before after that. Coming up with a content strategy that is tailored to the current trends and to the ideal customer profile. And then after that come up with like this 90-day roadmap. Okay. So yes, it's like sort of makes more sense now. So it's going to come up with this generator report, and yes, okay, so design MD is already done, this one's already done. Now it's just going to fetch all of this and do up the report. Okay, so next part is content strategy. So I'm going to play cheat yet again. I'm going to look for a prompt that I know that I used to use it inside of this. As you can see, my current workspace is extremely ugly, and yes, it's another Denko prompt. I mean, of course, I mean you can kind of see that I'm either a big fan or someone who just like follows everything very closely. So I'm going to just paste it inside here, and I'm going to paste my context file inside as well. So I have included this productize yourself prompt that actually comes up with the report based on like a personal brand. But in this actual case, what I want to do is for you to generate it for a brand account using like some of the same principles and the same like strategy, but it being tailored to a brand account rather than a personal brand. So I've included all of the context so far that I've achieved inside of this applications, this context folder. So please take a look and understand clearly about what it is about the bit, and how do you actually, yeah, and based on all of the information that's there, generate some different pillars and key ideas that we can then use for the content strategy. And of course, you can also generate the rest of the output, which actually shows like these are some of the things that we want to like implement inside of like this brand, which is again a vendor account and not a personal brand account. Okay, so again, we are using one of Denko's prompts. What this prompt actually does is that it comes up the one that I actually want to be more familiar with is the, so again, I'm playing cheat. There's like this adaptive interview process, and then there's like a lot of these things that you need to test and do it yourself. But what I actually want to look more of is the content strategy part. So I'm just going to let it run and then let it see like, okay, these are all the stuff. I'm going to check back here, and I'm just going to cancel. And then usually what I'll do is just ask it what's the status, and my screen has hanged again. Okay, so I'm just going to, please just use please just do the audit on Twitter instead. If LinkedIn still doesn't work and you're not able to find out like the stats and everything, then please help to, yeah, just do it for Twitter. Presenter overlay. Okay, I'm really not sure. Could this be like the reason why my com kits hanging in terms of the streaming, but never mind. We will try to find this. Try to find out. I'll try to find out why it's like this in another day. Okay, yes. So yeah, we are generating the stats. We have the account pillars, and what I actually want to do right now is to come up with like this. Yeah. So the main thing that I want to look out is this content format mix here. This is the one that I'm the most uh, interested in, as well as maybe I can't remember what part was it. Product concepts. Uh, so I'm just going to ask it where's the content strategy, and then this will just give me content strategy. Right now, okay, so we have the content performance audit. Let's just quickly look at it and see what is actually there. So we can see that like Median, the World Cup research article is the one that actually gets the most, likely because of it being trending, but we can see that the rest of it, yeah. So we can see that it's sort of like um, trending articles that are there. But okay, so we have this audit inside here, and now let's just go back. Okay, so please add whatever that you have generated into the your this like productize yourself.md inside of the context folder with like all of these items. Okay, so now what we are actually doing is that you have like all of these different context documents, and it's just yeah, I mean, unfortunately it's just a lot of AI slop, but definitely there will be ways for me to I'll just need to improve of it in the future. And but now that we already have like all of these context, then I want to move on to actually generate the one pager. So it did actually take much longer than what I planned it to be, but yeah, it is what it is, and let's just try to gather as much context as possible. So basically, you can see that the main thing that I've been spend most of my time right now is just trying to gather as much context, so that when I actually come up with the output, it should be much more tailored towards bit and this role that I'm doing, rather than just something that is like very generic, that you just excuse me, tell ChatGPT to give you like just generate a one pager for me, and then it's just something extremely generic that no one will actually want to read. But you can see that now what I'm doing is just trying to gather as much of the context as I can, and my screen has frozen yet again. Give me a moment. Yeah, so just try to gather as much context so that right now I'm able to just when I come out with the output, then it's really much more personalized, and it really fits inside of the uh yeah the something more tailored towards the company. So now let me just go back to open code and just see. So everything I believe has already been done, and bit brand. Okay, so everything is here. Very good. So now the last part that we actually need to do is to generate the one pager itself. So I'm going to play cheat a bit. I'm going to use this application, and I'm just going to generate a new session. So this is going to be the fun part where we actually combine everything that we have done so far inside here. Okay, so let me just go back to the structure. So this is how I want the sections to be like, and I'm just going to put it here, but then I want trend scanning to be above here, and then more context here. And then now let's just have fun with building out this one pager. So I want to build out an interview one pager that I can then show to my my employer, my future employer for this role. So please take a look at inside the bit this bit bit folder where I've included like a lot of these different contexts. So first thing, there's this GitHub link that I shared at the very top. Can you please help to extract it? Take a look at what are the items that are found inside of this link, and then just build out a one pager for just build out one pager that includes like all of these sections. So there's a current content audit. I already have a document inside that uses like the Twitter content performance, the ideal customer profile that's actually inside as well, the trend scanning. So I want you to actually go and identify like what are some of the top trending trends that could be relevant to the ideal customer profiles that are both timely as well as relevant. And the content strategy, so I've already come up with some ideas inside the productized Bitbrand markdown file, and then based on whatever they've written on top, I want you to come up with a 90-day roadmap. So you can use the application, the CloudSign application, as the reference on how the one pager should be structured. Ideally, it should all be within one page, but if you really need to, then you can split it to different pages. And yup, please follow the guidelines within the design.md that I've included as well. Okay, so that was a very long prompt that I actually just wrote, and basically what it just tells it, because we have already gathered all of these different contexts about the company, the role, and like some of the socials that are already present inside. So we have like all of this information that we have already gathered, and now what I'm trying to do is to combine everything together so that it becomes this one pager that I can then show my employer, not my employer but my future employer, like this is my actual plan, this is what I plan to do for within the first 90 days. And I've already come up with like all of this information. I'm familiar with the workflow, I'm familiar with the branding, the content, and as compared to someone who does no research at all and just goes for the interview. So it really just helps you to stand out, and it also shows your initiative because you are just building out all of this, you're taking the extra step to my thing has hanged again. You're just like taking out this, doing this extra step beforehand, even before people ask you, because and a good thing is that this can be applied for to any role at all, so it doesn't necessarily need to be just for um what do you call it, a marketing role. The original skill idea that Barry shared with me is that he was doing it for a sales role, but I do believe that this can be done for any other role that just whenever you're applying for interview, you can just generate out this one pager, and it just makes you seem much more impressive as compared to other candidates that are doing the same as you. Okay, so a lot about that, but now one more thing that I want to generate is the interview prep coach. So just now I forgot to mention it, but let me just do it here. Based on what you actually mentioned inside here with regards to like prepping me for the interview, I want your help to generate out an HTML file using this design.md folder, just to see like how we yeah uh, just to build out this HTML file using this design guideline, just to make and visualize like whatever plans and items that you wrote inside here to help me to prepare for this interview. Okay, so they have actually come up with the one pager. So let's actually go and see how it looks like. Okay, so yeah, this is the one pager itself. It is fine. I don't think you definitely need a lot more uh work in terms of like the slop, trying to remove the slop, but right now you already have the structure, and it just makes it much easier for me to edit and like move out like all of these different yeah, this like different stuff. So okay, I mean, not super impressed, but it's fine. Now the main thing that I actually want to do is, because here they added like this what do you call it, icon, but it's not the actual bit icon. So if you want to make it even more impressive, what you can actually do is can you identify the favicon inside of this website, and then can you then use it as the main, as a main icon, and also to identify the some of the branding designs and everything, the icons, because you already have like the icon placeholder inside of the one pager. Can you then replace it with the actual bit logo based on what you can see inside of the bit uh, website that I share with you. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is that for this icon here, it should have been the bit logo here, and then this globe here, it should also be the actual favicon. So I mean, this is fine as like a something, as like a one pager or like the initial start, and I definitely need to go and edit it, because I didn't review any of the materials that the AI generated, and like a lot of these different items is likely there's a lot of slop inside of here, so I definitely need to go and review. But I hope that this also just shows you my entire process of using AI to research, and I believe that the bulk of the time is just to gather as much context as you can about the company, or like even if you're actually doing like any other task, the main part is like gathering the context. So you may have heard of the saying, like, if you want to actually sharpen, or if you want to chop down the tree and you're only given like, I can't remember what's the actual one, but if you're given like a few minutes, then the only way for you to do it is to like sharpen the knife, and someone will actually spend more time sharpening the knife before cutting down the tree. But yes, I'm digressing a lot here, and let's see. Okay, so you can see here that what actually happened, which is the annoying part, is that the when you actually have like the favicon and all of this stuff, then and when the session actually gets compacted like what it does here, then all of the context and everything that is built about it may get lost along the way. So like when I was actually telling him the actual task that I wanted, okay, I forgot. Let me. This is so annoying. But never mind. Yes. So what actually happens is that after my session was compacted, then I was actually asking it to do up this task, but when it actually finished, what I just said here is that the one page is built, blah blah blah, and it completely forgot about this task that we're supposed to do. So this is a problem when you actually reach the limit of your context window, and yeah, you lose like some of this context and the task, even though it tries its best to compact it, but it usually won't be the best. So what I would usually do is just to scroll up and then find the actual one that the actual prompt that and direction that I gave, and then after that just give it to the what do you call it, the AI, and just paste the chat there. Okay, so right now is like just going to uh, download all of this stuff, the different materials. So now you can see that it has actually downloaded like all of the icons, and then it's going to replace it with like the actual SVG. And again, the good thing about this is that you don't actually need to do anything at all. You can just uh yeah, you you don't need to know anything. You can just tell, like what I did is just to go to the site, ask it to extract out all the icons, and then put it inside here as like all the placeholders. So yes, okay, so it's done. Let's just reload the HTML to see whether it works. And yeah, I mean, it follows here if you can see, I think. Okay, you can't see because let me see if I can remove this down. Yes, okay. So yeah, the favicon works here, so that's good. And then my com has crashed again, but yes. Then yeah, here also it just has it here. So okay, yep. So this is basically like how the entire one pager will look like. Again, just a disclaimer that this content is like this stop. I definitely need to go and edit it and just make sure that all of the stuff here is will be much better, and it's something that I actually would be happy with sharing with the hiring manager. But at this point in time, let's just say that I'm very happy with this, and what the next step is to actually deploy it to Vercel, so that you can then share that link over to them. So like basically this one also I just did like the cloud sign application dot versal dot app, and then this one I'm just gonna put like bit application dot versal dot app. And now what I'm gonna do is to deploy it on Vercel. So it's sort of like the hosting platform. So like now what actually happens is that there's this HTML file that I have, but it's just found locally. When you actually want to build and you want to like uh what do you call it, like just build it up locally, and you just want to okay, lost my train of thought. But if you want like other people to access it, they need to have access to this file, unless you put it into like a hosting place. And in this case, I'm actually using Vercel because it's just very easy to do it and it's free. Basically, because your site doesn't have too much traffic, so it's just very easy to document it. Okay, so long for all of that. I've also come up with like the prep visual.html, so we can just quickly take a look at it. And we have like the design MD. I don't really like the font for this one, and my thing is gone again. Oops. This is so annoying. And then after that, yep, so this is like the I converted like this text inside of here. Where is it? Interview one pager. Yeah. So there's like this huge, no, not here. But yes, interview prep skill. There's like this huge amount of text which I likely won't read. I just asked it to convert it into this HTML file, and it's slightly better, though I find that the fonts are a bit painful to me in my eye. But again, it is definitely much better than just looking at the entire wall of text inside here. So this is the first deliverable that's done. Of course, again, this is assuming that you're already happy with the output, which I'm definitely not. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to accept it as it is. And then right now, the next part is to deploy the other side on Vercel. So now I'm going to start a new session. I'm going to put here, and basically, I also want to. So first thing that you actually need to do, which again, why you need to go to GitHub to learn a bit more about the like how do you actually why do you actually need to use GitHub is because it just makes it so much easier for you to like deploy your sites on live. Like in this case, I'm just going to ask like, do you have access to GitHub CLI? And basically what I'm going to do now is just create a repo. Okay, so it says it doesn't have CLI. Can you help me to check for the GitHub credentials, whether it is already been configured, and is Git configured to a certain commit author? So now I'm just going to ask whether there's like the local commit author. Yes, it does. Okay, so I just need to run. So basically what I want to do is to upload whatever that I have inside of this interview prep, and I'm going to do it. So I want to create this repo on GitHub using my GitHub credentials called interview prep, exactly the same as the file name of this repo. And I want you to configure the Git for this one. It's a private repo. Create a new repo inside of GitHub, and then help me to build it out from there. My goodness. Okay, so I'm not too sure whether this will work, because now I have to take a look at the GitHub, and then basically you can see that when you give like all of these instructions here, what it actually does is that, okay, I think there's a chat. Let me just see. Okay, yes. Hello, nothing to do 5284. Nice to meet you too. And yeah, just going back to here. Yeah, so I'm going to just put like the GitHub account info, and then basically like from like this prompt here, the good thing is that it really comes up with all these to-dos, and then you just run the entire task from you. It sort of really understands all the context from the GitHub, and then after that you just continue doing up all of these tasks. And the good news is that because you already like say everything via voice, and you just share all the context with it, you can literally just like you give it this command, and then you go and do something else while it does all of this for you. And it's just so much more helpful because you don't have any coding experience. You're likely going to troubleshoot a lot, and then now all you need to do is just give it to the AI to help you to do everything for you. But of course, there also comes the risk. If you don't understand what's happening, then later down the line when you're like writing huge amounts of code, then that could be a bit harmful. But right now our main focus is just to try to use AI as much as we can in like all of our work, and in my case like trying to prepare for uh the what do you call it, oops, okay, my yeah, just trying to prepare for the interview. So yep, right now it's just lagging, so let me just try again and just tell it to like please continue. So when it actually doesn't work, and when like GitHub is not authenticated, I'm not sure why it's not authenticated here. Maybe it's only for the repo, like the one that we actually worked on. So it's a bit annoying that it's taking this long, because I want to show you how to use the Vercel CLI as well. Okay, this is taking much longer than expected, but at the meantime, let me just create a new session again and just install the Vercel CLI. Okay, this is taking quite long. Okay, so yes, it does need to be off. How about the GitHub CLI and offing from there? So I'm not too sure why the GitHub helped me to off. So this one will help me to run the authentication. Okay, let's try this. Run it for me. I'm just gonna be lazy and just tell it run it for me instead of running it on the terminal. Go to session. So I'm just going to authenticate it via GitHub. And let's just see. Okay, so yes, I was lazy for the Vercel CLI, so I just asked it to run the authentication for me. I'm just going to put allow since I already logged in on my browser. So it's successful. It should work now for the Vercel CLI. Okay, so maybe I was wrong. And again, we lost it. Okay, so what I actually did was to authorize it via Vercel, and then now I'm signing uh, to the Vercel CLI, so now I can start to deploy things. But to actually deploy things, I need to create a repo, and then right now you can see that you have to create a repo inside of GitHub, and then after that you commit and push all the files into the GitHub repo, and then you deploy that file with Vercel. So this is taking extremely long for here, so I'm just going to play it. I'm just going to use the terminal to run this entire thing. So again, this is something that you will likely need to learn a bit more on, like how do you use the terminal to access certain files, but yeah, that can be for another one. So I just went off. So now I believe hopefully that it works for the authentication. So sometimes the annoying part is just setting up all of these different tools, but most of the time it should be that once you actually set it up once, then you don't ever need to touch it again. Just that I'm not too sure why, because I set it up for this repo. I just set it up yesterday in terms for logging into GitHub, but yeah, I'm not sure why it's actually doing it like this. Okay, yes, it's been extremely long and I'm quite tired as well, but yeah, we're just waiting for this like final part. Okay. I'm just going to try a new session again and ask it. Do you have this um are you able to use the GitHub CLI to create a new repo? Okay, so let's just try, because here, okay, sorry for the burp. Create a new repo for this folder. It's also called interview prep, using the ZSync file name, and I want this to be a private repo. So you said ZSync file name, but what I meant is that it should be the same file name as the repo. So yes, hopefully now. I have no idea why this is taking so long, and usually when this happens, what I would do is to just run the entire session, the entire task on a new session. So here is just looking at all of the different items, and hopefully this portion Yes, it checks the authentication. Yes, okay. It finally works. Thank goodness. While here it's still hanging here, so this is just super annoying. And I believe that actually was not captured, so again I need to work on this. But basically what happens was that inside here it was just running, it was just taking so long. 11:37 has been about 3 minutes and nothing has been done up here. But so what I actually did was to go back and just start a new repo, a new chat session, and to run the entire task again, and it finally was able to generate this one. So let's go over here, and then we can see that yes, I mean here my GitHub commit author needs to be configured, but I'll do that later on. And basically what I want to do now is to go over to like applications. You can see now it's really a bit messy. And then there's this like bit one pager HTML. So this HTML file would actually be the one that we just opened. So I'll just go back to it, applications bit. So it really depends on how you want to organize your entire file as well. But this is basically the one that uh, we did just now. So now that we have the repo that's deployed to Vercel, then what I'm going to do is to go over to this HTML file. I'm going to click it and I'm going to copy, paste it inside of the Vercel CLI one that I've already installed, and then I'm going to paste it here. And now let's do the final one. So I have this repo that I just shared with you. This is a private one, and using the Vercel CLI, can you please help to deploy this HTML file for this domain name? So please help me to generate the HTML file, deploy it on Vercel, and use this domain name. So I sort of like repeated myself, but now I'm going to put it as bit application Gideon.vercel as the domain name. Okay, so now the main thing that we have is that we sort of like uploaded the HTML file to GitHub, and then now the next part is to deploy it on Vercel so that other people will be able to view this on like their phones, their mobile phones, and so on and so forth. So another thing is that when you're actually deploying Vercel, then if you want to make it public, then that's something that I need to let them know as well, because otherwise, okay, I mean maybe I can show it to you once this is actually finished. But basically we just want to show that okay, there is okay, so here when it says team scope, so when you actually go towards it, it's fine. But let's just say I'm on the incognito tab and I go towards it. Okay, so it's actually fine. But one of the things that you may want to know is that you may want to tell Vercel that you want this to be publicly viewable, so that when you are so that you don't have to sign in to be able to view it. So okay, I mean we have already done most of the tasks except for like the actual content itself. It really needs a lot of work because I'm definitely not happy with whatever that's inside here. But we have finally accomplished like both of the deliverables, even though it took a bit longer than what I expected. And again, like throughout the entire session, you can see that it likely has just a lot of context gathering that's involved rather than actually executing out the task. So deliverable one, what we actually created was this interview one pager. So it preps us for some of the more common questions that will likely be asked for the role as well as the company, and then the other one would be the one pager itself. So this is something that I plan to send over to the hiring manager just before the interview, so that it just makes you look slightly more impressive, and then you show that you have initiative in like generating out these this piece of content that you will likely be leave a better impression as compared to like other candidates. So yeah, I mean, we have already that's basically what we have done. It's been quite a long day. Thanks for joining. Uh, Thanks for staying along with it. And of course, like the last part is just the next steps. Like, what, how can you actually like use and apply this? So I do have this AI native sprint that I'm going to carry out in the future. This will be like a 90-minute intensive that just shares like all of the important key points that you need to learn on how to become AI native, even though you're someone who is busy and you have no uh, coding experience at all, like myself. And then if you want to challenge yourself, you can also build out your own portable AI system. Basically, this lets you to build a system once and then switch between models at any time. And of course, if you do have any uh, AI workflows, or you do have any tasks that you have in your daily life or your work that you absolutely hate doing, that is actually the perfect candidate for you to turn it into an AI native workflow. And if you fill out this form below, you can, I can, I will attempt to build out this workflow for you. So yeah, I mean, feel free to fill it out, and of course try to be as detailed as you can, so that it gives me much more context on how I can actually execute the entire thing. So yep, this has been another kind of fun stream that we had, and we were able to like build out two of these deliverables. So that's a big win for me. And again, I just hope that your the key takeaway that you can have from here is that you need to gather as much context as you can while actually executing the task would be much would take up much less time than you actually expect. So yes, once again, thank you for joining this stream, and I hope to see you in the next one. I'll likely maybe do another stream in on Friday just to build out like another workflow. But yeah, till then, thanks for joining, thanks for listening, and just yeah, hope to see you in the next one.